Come walk with me down one of the most beautiful rivers in Minnesota. Over the next mile, we will follow a wild northward stream as it drops through a black rock gorge in a staircase of waterfalls. Watch tea-colored water thunder into deep pools and trace the deep history of this coast, all the way down to the greatest freshwater lake on Earth. First, where are we? This is Cascade River State Park, on the far northern coast of Minnesota, the rugged stretch of Lake Superior shoreline known as the North Shore. We are up in Cook County, between the little towns of Lutsen and Grand Marais, near the very top of the United States, where the Great Lake rolls away toward Canada. The park takes its name from what the river does best. Instead of a single tall waterfall, the Cascade River tumbles down a whole staircase of them, one drop after another, each pouring into a dark pool before spilling over the next lip of rock. Standing here, you are surrounded by the sound of falling water on every side. And the river is in a hurry. In its final 3 miles, the Cascade River falls roughly 900 feet on its rush to the lake. That steep, relentless descent is exactly what carves these cascades and gives the water its power. You are watching a river tearing downhill through solid rock right in front of you. Look closely at the color of the water. It runs a deep tea brown, and where it churns, the foam turns the color of root beer. That tint is completely natural. Upstream, the river drains great cedar and spruce bogs, and the tannins leaching from all those roots and fallen needles stain the water this rich amber, the signature of a true northward stream. The rock the river cuts through is almost unimaginably old. Around 1.1 billion years ago, this continent tried to split apart along a giant scar called the Mid-Continent Rift. For millions of years, lava poured out across this region, flow upon flow, hardening into thousands of feet of dark volcanic stone. That ancient rock is the black bedrock of this entire gorge. This is what makes the Cascades so dramatic. The river has sliced a narrow, twisting gorge straight down into that hard volcanic rock, leaving sheer black walls just a few feet apart in places. Cedars cling to the rims with their roots gripping bare stone, and far below, the whole river funnels through the gap and roars. The last great sculptor here was ice. During the most recent ice age, a vast lobe of glacial ice ground down this whole basin, then melted back only about 10,000 years ago. The meltwater filled the deep trough the ice had gouged, and that flooded trough, brimming with cold, clear water, became the lake waiting at the bottom of this river. Because everything here flows toward one place, Lake Superior. It is the largest freshwater lake on the planet by surface area, so vast it behaves less like a lake and more like an inland sea. The Ojibwe call it Gichigami, the Great Sea. Every drop of water in this gorge is racing to join it, just a short way downstream from where we stand. The forest around us belongs to the far north. White cedar, black spruce, balsam fir, birch, and aspen crowd right down to the water, their roots woven into the mossy rock. This is the southern edge of the great boreal woods that ring the top of the world, and here it spills down the hillsides of the North Shore all the way to the lake. In autumn, this place catches fire. The birch and aspen turn brilliant gold, the maples farther up the ridge blaze orange and red, and all of it leans out over the dark, rushing water. The Cascade River in fall color is one of the classic sights of the North Shore, and it is easy to see why people drive for hours just to stand right here. The path we are following is part of something much larger. The famous Superior hiking trail runs right through this park, tracing the ridgeline above Lake Superior for more than 300 miles. From this gorge, you could turn and walk for weeks, following the Great Lake through forest and over rock knobs, all the way toward the Canadian border. Long before any of these names appeared on a map, this was, and still remains, the homeland of the Anishinaabe, the Ojibwe people. For centuries, they traveled this coast by birch bark canoe, gathered from its forests and waters, and knew this shore not as a scenic stop, but as the living center of their world. Later, this coast became a highway for the fur trade. French and Ojibwe voyageurs paddled heavy canoes along this exact shoreline, hauling furs and trade goods toward the great depot at Grand Portage, far to the north. The mouths of rivers like the Cascade were landmarks and resting points on one of the oldest travel routes on the whole continent. In 1854, the Treaty of La Pointe reshaped this entire coast. The Ojibwe ceded much of the land along the North Shore, and reservations, including nearby Grand Portage, were established. Yet the people kept their right to hunt, fish, and gather across these ceded lands, a right the bands still hold and exercise here today. Down at the very bottom of the gorge, the river slides under Highway 61, the legendary North Shore Scenic Drive. That two-lane road threads the whole coast, from Duluth to Canada, crossing river after river just above the point where each one meets the lake. For most travelers, this bridge is the first glimpse of the Cascade. Much of what makes this park usable was built during the Great Depression. In the 1930s, young men of the Civilian Conservation Corps came to the North Shore, cutting trails, laying stone steps, and building shelters by hand. A great deal of the rugged stonework you find along these Minnesota rivers was set in place by those crews nearly a century ago. Cascade River became an official Minnesota state park in 1957, set aside so that this gorge, this forest, and this piece of Lake Superior shoreline would stay wild and open to everyone forever. What was once just another river crossing on the way north is now protected ground, held in trust for whoever comes to walk it next. This is genuinely wild country. These north woods are home to moose wading the beaver ponds, to black bears, to the ravens that ride the wind above the gorge, and to one of the last strongholds of the gray wolf in the lower 48 states. You may not see them, but as you walk this trail, know that they are out there all around you. Close your eyes for a moment and just listen. The roar of the cascade is constant and enormous, a deep white noise that you feel in your chest as much as here. It rises off the plunging water, echoes back and forth between the rock walls of the gorge, and drowns out the whole world until there is nothing left but the river. Notice the old cedars leaning over the water. Some of these gnarled trees are far older than they look, growing painfully slowly out of cracks in the bare rock, anchored by roots like clenched fingers. Everything here, the moss, the ferns, the dripping stone, is soaked in the cool spray of the river, a hanging garden built entirely on falling water. Every river tells a story of its whole watershed. This water began far inland, seeping out of quiet bogs and beaver ponds up on the highlands behind the shore. It gathered into a stream, found the edge of the ridge, and then threw itself off, and that is the moment we are standing in now, the wild finale of a long and patient journey. Between the drops lie the pools. At the base of each waterfall, the river has carved a deep, dark basin where the current slows and swirls before gathering itself for the next plunge. On a still day, the surface of these pools looks almost black, holding the reflection of the cedars and the sky above the gorge in perfect, trembling stillness. Follow the water just a little farther, and the gorge finally opens. The river spreads, calms, and pours its amber water out into the cold blue immensity of Lake Superior. Fresh mixes with fresh, the small joins the vast, and the whole 900-foot journey of the cascade comes quietly to its end on the greatest lake in the world. And here is the best part. All of this, the gorge, the waterfalls, the ancient rock, the boreal forest, and the Great Lake, is public ground, protected and open to anyone who wants to come and see it. No ticket, no gate, just a short walk from the road and a willingness to stand in the spray and pay attention. Wait for the light to change. As the sun drops behind the ridge, it slips low through the trees and sets the falling water glowing, turning the brown river to liquid amber and lighting up the yellow leaves like lanterns over the gorge. The air smells of cold water and cedar. This is the North Shore at its absolute finest. Places like this do something quiet to a person. They shrink the whole day of worries down to the size of a single falling leaf on the water and hand you back something older and calmer in return. This river has been pouring itself into Lake Superior for thousands of years, and it will keep doing exactly that long after we are gone. Thank you for walking the Cascade River with me. If this is the kind of place you love, subscribe and come along. There is a whole world of rivers, trails, and shorelines still ahead of us, and we are exploring it together. Until the next one, keep wandering and keep listening for the sound of falling water.